There are moments in life when we look into a child's eyes and see more than innocence. We see a reflection of ourselves, our calm, our fears, our tone, our love, all mirrored quietly in their little world. And it's in those moments that we realize parenting is not about control, it's about connection. Presence over perfection is one of the most profound truths in parenting, yet also one of the hardest to live by. Many parents wake up every morning with a quiet promise to do their best, to provide, protect, and prepare their children for the world. But somewhere between the rush of routines and the weight of expectations, the beauty of being present often fades behind the constant pressure to be perfect. The truth is, children do not remember perfect parents. They remember parents who were there, truly there, when it mattered most. To be present is to offer your full attention, not as a performance, but as a gift. It means putting down the phone when your child was to show you something small but important to them, listening not just with your ears, but with your heart, and recognizing that what may seem trivial to you might be shaping their world. Presence requires awareness, the ability to sense what your child is feeling even when they have no words for it. It is about noticing the subtle tremor in their voice, the hesitation before a question, the silence that hides disappointment or fear. Perfection, on the other hand, creates distance when parents chase the image of flawless parenting. The spotless home, the scheduled day, the calm voice that never cracks. They unconsciously build walls around themselves. Children don't need that kind of perfection. They need authenticity. They need to see that adults too have emotions, that mistakes are part of life, and that love is not withdrawn when things go wrong. A parent who can admit, I was wrong, I got upset, but I'm trying again, teaches far more about strength and humility than one who never falters. The presence that nurtures calm and confidence in a child comes from emotional availability. It is the parent's ability to anchor the moment when everything else feels unsteady. When a child sees that their parent is not overwhelmed by every mistake or every mess, they learn that the world is a safe place to explore. They begin to trust that even if they fail, they will not lose love. And this trust, more than any lesson or lecture, is what shapes resilience. Being present does not mean being perfect every second of the day. It means being emotionally honest. Sometimes presence is quiet, sitting beside a child who is sad and not trying to fix it. Sometimes it is playful, laughing at their jokes even when you are tired. Sometimes it is simply staying patient when everything in you wants to rush or correct. The magic lies in those small moments of attention that tell a child you matter right now. Perfectionism often comes from fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of not giving enough. But that fear creates anxiety not only in the parent, but in the child, who begins to associate love with performance. A child who grows up in an environment of constant correction learns to doubt their worth. A child who grows up in an environment of presence learns to trust it. Presence is not about doing more. It is about being more aware, more accepting, more attuned to what your child needs rather than what society expects. Children feel peace when their parents are emotionally regulated, when a parent breathes slowly during conflict, chooses patience instead of shouting, or shows kindness after a stressful day. They model emotional intelligence without ever naming it. The child learns that calmness is not the absence of problems, but the ability to stay centered amid them. They learn that mistakes do not end relationships, and that love can coexist with imperfection. Presence creates connection, and connection builds confidence. A confident child is one who feels seen and valued, not because they achieve something, but simply because they exist. When parents slow down enough to truly be with their children, to listen to their stories, to notice their moods, to appreciate their efforts, they nurture an inner calm that lasts a lifetime. It is through presence that parents teach their children the most important lesson of all, that love does not demand perfection, it only asks for sincerity. Emotional contagion is one of the most silent yet powerful forces in parenting. It is the invisible current that flows between a parent and a child, shaping behavior, tone, and emotional balance without a single word being spoken. From the earliest days of life, a child's nervous system is attuned to the emotional rhythm of their caregivers. They watch, listen, and absorb not just what parents say, but how they feel. A calm parent transmits safety. A tense parent, even with the best intentions, transmits uncertainty. Children are emotional mirrors, reflecting not only the love they receive, but also the emotional state that surrounds them each day. The emotional climate of a home is built not from the walls or furniture, but from the energy that fills the space. When that energy is one of stress, constant urgency, or silent tension, a child feels it long before they can understand it. They may not have the words to describe anxiety, but their body responds to it. Their play becomes restless, their sleep unsettled, their confidence fragile. Conversely, when a home carries a rhythm of calm, when laughter flows easily, when conflict ends with reassurance, when affection is given freely, the child's emotional world learns peace. The nervous system feels safe, the mind grows open, and the heart learns to trust. Parents often believe that what matters most are the lessons they teach or the rules they enforce, yet what truly imprints on a child's mind is how they have felt in their parents' presence. Did they feel safe to express themselves? Did they sense acceptance even when they made mistakes? Did they see calmness in the face of frustration? These small emotional cues become a child's internal compass. When a parent reacts to stress with grace, the child's body unconsciously learns regulation. When a parent chooses empathy or anger, the child learns that love can exist even in conflict. The contagious nature of emotions is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It is about being aware of the emotional signals we send. A parent who constantly suppresses emotions may seem calm on the surface, but children pick up on hidden tension through tone, posture, and micro-expressions. True calmness is not forced stillness. It is authenticity balanced with control. It's the parent who says, I'm feeling upset right now, but I'm going to take a breath, showing the child that emotions are natural and manageable. This modeling teaches emotional literacy, the ability to name, understand, and soothe feelings instead of being ruled by them. When parents cultivate their own emotional health, they give their children stability. The child learns that home is a sanctuary, a place where emotions are acknowledged, not feared. This doesn't mean there are no arguments or frustrations. It means that those moments are handled with respect and repair. The emotional contagion of calm is strongest after a storm. When a parent apologizes, when they explain instead of scold, when they reconnect after a misunderstanding. These gestures teach children that relationships can heal, that emotions can pass, and that love remains constant. A parent's self-awareness becomes the emotional foundation of the family. Every sigh, every tone of voice, every expression carries meaning. Children are not listening only to words. They are decoding the emotional language behind them. A hurried "I'm fine" says something different than a genuine smile. A raised voice, even when meant to protect, can echo as fear. A gentle hand on the shoulder, even in silence, can restore trust. The more a parent learns to observe and calm their own emotions, the more peaceful their home becomes. Emotional contagion also works in the other direction. When children laugh, express wonder, or show gratitude, they can soften a parent's stress if the parent allows themselves to be present. This mutual exchange creates a loop of emotional growth. The parent regulates the child, and the child, in turn, reminds the parent of simplicity and joy. But for this to happen, the parent must be emotionally available, must pause long enough to feel the moment rather than rush past it. The essence of emotional contagion in parenting lies in understanding that children become what they experience. A calm home does not happen by chance. It is created by parents who tend to their inner world with the same care they give to their children. When parents nurture peace within themselves, their children naturally learn to breathe through life instead of battling against it. Every emotion, every reaction, every moment of stillness becomes a quiet lesson in how to live with balance, compassion, and courage. Connection before correction is one of the simplest and most transformative principles in parenting, yet it is often forgotten in the rush to guide, discipline, or protect. Every parent wants to raise a child who listens, respects, and behaves well, but true obedience without emotional connection is fragile. It lasts only as long as fear or control sustain it. Real growth, emotional maturity, and empathy emerge when a child feels understood first, corrected second. When a parent chooses connection before correction, they send a message deeper than any lecture could convey. I see you even when you struggle. Children, by nature, crave belonging. Their behavior, whether calm or chaotic, is a form of communication. A tantrum, defiance, or withdrawal is not merely disobedience. It is a signal that a need has gone unmet, a need for attention, reassurance, or understanding. When parents react only to the behavior, they miss the emotion behind it. But when they pause to connect first, by meeting the child's eyes, softening their voice, and acknowledging their feelings, they open a channel of trust, correction that follows. Such a moment is more effective because it grows from empathy, not authority. Connection begins with listening, not lecturing. It means giving space for a child to express emotions without fear of punishment. A child who feels safe to talk about their mistakes will learn from them. A child who feels shamed will hide them. When parents take time to understand what triggered a certain behavior, they teach emotional intelligence. They show that feelings are valid, even when actions are not acceptable. This distinction between emotion and behavior is what helps children learn accountability without losing self-worth. When parents rush to correct before connecting, they unintentionally create distance. A harsh tone, a quick judgment, or a lack of patience can close the door to communication. The child learns to comply out of fear or to resist out of frustration. Either response weakens trust. But when correction is preceded by warmth, even firm boundaries feel safe. A calm, I understand you're angry. But we don't hit has more power than a shouted stop that now, because it teaches both regulation and respect. The parent becomes not a figure of threat, but a guide in emotional navigation. Connection before correction does not mean permissiveness. It does not mean allowing every behavior or ignoring consequences. It means understanding that discipline works best when it is rooted in relationship. A connected child wants to cooperate because they value the bond with their parent. They are motivated by trust, not fear. The goal is not control, the goal is guidance, shaping character through compassion. In those moments when emotions run high, when a child tests boundaries, connection is the bridge that prevents both sides from falling into misunderstanding. Children often remember not what they did wrong, but how their parents made them feel afterward. When parents choose connection, they model forgiveness and empathy. They teach that love does not disappear during conflict. After correction, a hug, a reassuring word, or a calm explanation can transform guilt into growth. These small gestures repair emotional safety and show that mistakes are part of learning, not a reason for rejection. Over time, this approach helps children internalize moral values, not because they fear punishment, but because they understand how their actions affect others. Connection also strengthens the parent's own emotional awareness. When you stop to connect before correcting, you are forced to pause, to breathe, to feel before reacting. This pause diffuses anger and creates space for compassion. It reminds parents that children are not problems to solve, but hearts to guide. Through this awareness, the relationship becomes deeper, not only shaping the child, but also refining the parent's patience and empathy. In families where connection comes first, conversations replace conflicts, understanding replaces resistance, and affection replaces authority as the primary form of influence. The child learns that respect is mutual, that correction is an act of love, and that even in moments of discipline, their worth remains untouched. In this way, connection becomes the foundation of confident, kind, and emotionally secure children, not through perfection, but through presence, empathy, and genuine understanding. The power of routine and words lies in the quiet ability to shape a child's emotional landscape. In a world that often feels unpredictable and fast-moving, children find safety in rhythm and language. Routine offers them a sense of stability, and knowing that even when life outside changes, certain things remain the same. Words, meanwhile, carry the emotional tone of the home. They become the inner voice that echoes in a child's mind long after they grow up. Together, routine and words create an invisible framework that nurtures confidence, calm, and kindness. Children thrive in environments where the rhythm of the day feels predictable and safe. The repetition of small, consistent moments, a morning greeting, a shared meal, a bedtime story, tells the child, you can trust this world. Predictability becomes the soil where emotional security grows. When a parent says, I'll pick you up after school, and does, the child learns trust. When bedtime comes at the same hour and ends with a gentle goodnight, the child learns that endings can be peaceful. Routine is not about control. It's about creating a rhythm that teaches the child the world is safe, enough to relax, explore, and be themselves. Amidst that rhythm, words act as emotional nourishment. Every phrase spoken to a child has weight. It can build or break, soothe or sting. Words are remembered not only for their meaning, but for their tone. The difference between hurry up and take your time, I'm here, may seem small, but to a child's developing mind, it determines whether they associate urgency with fear or support. The words spoken in a home become the script through which a child interprets their experiences. Encouraging words like I believe in you or you did your best become seeds of confidence. Harsh or dismissive words, even when said in frustration, can leave quiet scars that shape self-doubt. Parents often underestimate the emotional power of everyday language. A simple thank you, a gentle I love you, or a calm it's okay to make mistakes can rewire how a child perceives themselves and others. When words are kind, the home becomes a sanctuary where vulnerability feels safe. When they are impatient or critical, even unintentionally, they create tension that lingers long after the conversation ends. Children internalize their parents' voices and later use them as self-talk. The tone a parent uses during childhood often becomes the tone a child uses with themselves in adulthood. Routine amplifies the effect of kind words. Repetition turns them into belief. A nightly I'm proud of you builds resilience far more deeply than a rare grand gesture through consistent routines. Parents teach discipline, time awareness, and responsibility without needing to lecture when the same loving rituals repeat. Breakfast conversations, evening reflections, or weekend walks. The child feels valued and grounded. These predictable touch points also strengthen connection, providing moments for conversation and affection that anchor the relationship through the chaos of daily life. In difficult times, it is often the routine and tone of words that hold the family together. When life is uncertain, keeping certain rituals intact, a shared dinner, a bedtime prayer, a daily check-in, reminds children that love and structure remain steady even when circumstances shift. The predictability of these small acts provides emotional regulation. They teach that calmness can be practiced, not just felt. The language used during such moments adds depth. Words of reassurance like "we'll figure this out together" help children associate challenge with unity rather than fear. Children listen less to instructions and more to emotional rhythm. They absorb not just what parents say, but how they say it, when they say it, and how consistently they follow through. Over time, they begin to mirror that same rhythm in their relationships with others, speaking kindly, keeping promises, showing patience. A child who grows up surrounded by gentle words and stable routines learns that love is dependable and kindness is normal. They step into the world with a quiet confidence, guided by an inner stability built from countless small, repeated acts of care. The real power of routine and words is that they do not need to be extraordinary to be transformative. They work through subtlety and constancy. A parent who chooses calm words over criticism, who keeps routines flexible yet firm, and who understands that presence is expressed through both actions and language, creates a home where emotional safety flourishes. In such an environment, children learn not just to follow schedules or repeat phrases, but to embody the deeper values those habits represent: patience, empathy, and trust. Self-regulation as a model is one of the most powerful and unspoken lessons a parent can give. Children learn more from what they observe than from what they are told. When a parent remains composed in moments of frustration, breathes before reacting, and communicates emotions calmly, the child witnesses emotional strength in action. This modeling becomes the foundation of emotional intelligence. A child does not automatically know how to manage anger, disappointment, or fear. They learn it through the rhythm of the parent's reactions. In this way, the parent's emotional balance becomes the child's blueprint for navigating their own inner world. Self-regulation begins with awareness. It is the moment when a parent recognizes their own emotions rising, the irritation, the exhaustion, the anxiety, and chooses not to let those feelings dictate their words or actions. This pause is not a sign of weakness, but of mastery. It shows the child that emotions are not something to suppress, but something to understand and manage. When a parent says, "I'm feeling frustrated, so I'm going to take a breath," they are teaching a lesson far deeper than any discipline technique. They are teaching that control is not about dominance. It is about understanding oneself. Children's brains are wired to mirror the emotional states of their caregivers. This means that when a parent reacts with anger, the child's nervous system immediately absorbs that energy, heightening their own distress. But when the parent remains steady, even amid chaos, the child's body begins to regulate itself in response. Over time, this co-regulation becomes self-regulation. The child learns that calmness is possible even when things are difficult. They carry this emotional memory into school, friendships, and later into adult life. It becomes a quiet inner strength that allows them to respond rather than react, to think before acting, and to approach challenges with resilience. Parents often expect children to regulate emotions they themselves struggle to manage. They tell their child to calm down while speaking in anger, or to listen carefully while distracted by their own thoughts. Children feel the dissonance between words and actions. They may not have the language to describe it, but they know when peace is being taught without being practiced. When parents instead embody calmness, lowering their tone, maintaining eye contact, and expressing empathy, they create emotional safety. The child learns that even intense emotions can be managed without fear or conflict. Self-regulation does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It means allowing feelings to exist without letting them control behavior. A parent who acknowledges frustration yet chooses patience teaches that emotions are valid but temporary. This balanced expression of emotion helps children understand that it is normal to feel angry, sad, or disappointed, and that those feelings can pass without causing harm. In doing so, parents teach emotional responsibility, that while we cannot always control what we feel, we can control how we respond. In moments of conflict, a parent's ability to stay calm transforms the entire atmosphere. A raised voice escalates tension, while measured tone diffuses it. A parent who kneels to a child's level and speaks gently during discipline shows authority without aggression. This balance of firmness and kindness helps children feel respected even when corrected. They learn that love and limits can coexist. They internalize that strength does not come from shouting louder, but from staying grounded when emotions rise. Self-regulation also nurtures empathy. When parents model control and awareness, they teach children to notice the emotions of others. A child who grows up in an emotionally balanced environment learns to pause before reacting, to consider how their words or actions might affect someone else. This awareness becomes the seed of kindness and maturity. They begin to understand that emotions are shared energies and that managing one's own helps maintain harmony with others. The process of modeling self-regulation is not about being perfectly calm all the time. It is about being real, reflective, and willing to repair when things go wrong. When a parent loses patience and later apologizes, they demonstrate accountability and emotional growth. They show that even adults make mistakes, but peace can always be restored. This simple act of owning emotions teaches humility and resilience. The child learns that emotional control is not innate but practiced, and that every day offers a new opportunity to begin again. Ultimately, self-regulation as a model creates a legacy of emotional wisdom. The calm tone a parent uses today becomes the inner voice that guides the child tomorrow. Through their example, parents give their children the tools to face life's storms with grace, to feel deeply, to think clearly, and to respond with compassion rather than chaos. Kindness as strength is one of the most misunderstood ideas in modern parenting. Many people associate kindness with softness, with giving in or avoiding conflict, yet true kindness is one of the deepest forms of strength a person can embody. It requires control, empathy, and courage. To raise children who are both confident and kind is to teach them that gentleness and power are not opposites, but companions. It means helping them understand that strength is not found in dominance or winning arguments, but in the ability to remain compassionate even when the world feels harsh. Children learn the meaning of kindness not through words alone, but through the daily actions they witness. When parents speak respectfully to others, treat waiters, teachers, and strangers with warmth, or show patience during moments of frustration, those small moments of grace become silent lessons. The child absorbs these gestures, slowly realizing that kindness is not something shown when it's easy, but something chosen when it's difficult. In these quiet demonstrations of empathy, parents teach their children the essence of emotional strength, the ability to remain human and loving, even in imperfection. Kindness requires emotional intelligence, and it begins at home. When a parent listens to their child without judgment, validates their feelings, or comforts them after a mistake, they show that love does not depend on performance. The child who feels this kind of acceptance learns to extend it to others. They develop confidence rooted not in superiority but in self-worth. They do not need to prove their value through comparison or competition because they know they are already enough. This type of confidence, calm, compassionate, and steady, becomes the foundation of true resilience. Parents sometimes fear that too much kindness will make their children naive or weak in a world that can be cruel. Yet the opposite is true. Children raised with kindness develop strong emotional boundaries because they understand empathy does not mean submission. When parents model firm kindness, being gentle but clear, forgiving but assertive, children learn how to respect others while still honoring themselves. They discover that kindness is not about pleasing everyone. It is about responding to others without losing one's integrity. A kind home cultivates a sense of belonging. When children feel loved, even when they make mistakes, they learn that compassion is healing, not conditional. They start to view others' errors with the same grace. Instead of judging quickly, they learn to pause, to see the story behind someone's behavior. This mindset creates adults who can handle relationships with maturity and patience. They become the kind of people who bring calm to chaos, who listen more than they react, who lift others rather than compete with them. In this way, kindness becomes not only an emotional skill, but a way of living. True kindness demands courage. It means choosing empathy when anger would be easier, forgiveness when pride feels justified, and patience when frustration rises. It takes inner strength to stay compassionate in moments of disagreement, to comfort rather than criticize, to see beyond one's own perspective. Children who witness these qualities in their parents learn that being kind is not passive. It is an active choice to respond with love, even when emotions are intense. This emotional discipline is what builds their confidence, the awareness that they can face any situation without losing their humanity. Words also shape a child's understanding of kindness. The tone parents use when correcting, the way they speak about others, and the stories they share all build the child's internal dialogue. When words are gentle and respectful, even in correction, they teach that love and accountability can coexist. Over time, those words become the child's own voice, the one they use to comfort themselves, to stand up for what is right, and to speak kindly to others. Kindness as strength transforms not only individuals, but the emotional culture of the family. In homes where compassion is valued, conflicts end with understanding, and differences are approached with curiosity rather than criticism. The child learns that relationships are not battles to win, but bridges to build. They grow up with the quiet confidence that strength is not measured by control or aggression, but by the ability to stay kind, even when life tests their patience. Such children enter the world not just as achievers, but as healers, steady, empathetic souls who make others feel safe, valued, and understood.